Welcome back, my friends, to the DTH Podcast. I am your host, Wilk from wilksworld.com, and this is Thanksgiving week. Now, for somebody like me who talks about gratitude all the time, this is the week. This is the week that we should all be giving thanks for everything. And quite honestly, I talked about it last year at Thanksgiving. Giving thanks is not just a one-day event. Giving thanks is something that we should be doing every single day. It's something we should be encouraging everybody else to do every single day. Encouraging our kids, teaching our kids what it means to be grateful. You know, this episode is, the theme of this episode is actually Thanksgiving in the age of outrage. Because as you may have noticed, there's a lot of outrage out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a lot about Thanksgiving and what it means to me. I hope you'll share it with somebody else and maybe bring out the gratitude in them. But first, what have you done today to make your life a better life? What have you done today to make the world a better place? See, it's all about bettering the world one attitude at a time. Now, we did not create the hate, but with your help, we can derate the hate. Just like I said, you as an individual, it's up to you to make your life a better life, which in turn makes the world a better place, and it's a better place for all of us. One way you can definitely make the world a better place is to share the Derate the Hate podcast all over social media. Share it with your friends, email lists, get on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your audio. Subscribe, download, leave us some feedback. That really helps a lot. And, that also kind of leads me into something I'm very grateful for this year. You know, over the past, say, 30, 32, 34 episodes, something like that, our listenership is up 30-some percent over what our first 52 episodes, our first year was. So that could not be done without you guys out there, all my listeners, sharing this and finding the value in what we're doing here with the Derate the Hate podcast. So I do want to say thank you very much for that, and keep it up. Keep sharing the Derate the Hate podcast, because I think we're putting out some very important content, and it's all about making the world a better place. So I hope you find the value in it. Keep sharing it. Keep doing what you're doing. So let's jump right into this week's topic, Thanksgiving in the age of perpetual outrage. Now, the reason I came up with that topic, originally I was just going to call it the age of perpetual outrage. But as I was prepping for the show, I realized it was coming out on Thanksgiving week. And naturally, perpetual outrage and gratitude are pretty much polar opposites. So I figured I'd throw the two together and see what I could come up with. So perpetual outrage falls very, very closely in line with something I've talked about plenty of times on this podcast, the perpetual victim mentality, right? Well, you cannot turn on the internet, jump onto any internet browser, look through any social media platform, turn on the news, and I don't just mean the national news channels and the mainstream media. I mean the local channels too, without seeing people protesting everywhere. People protesting, constantly protesting. And I started to ask myself, are all these people that are protesting all the time, are all these people flooding the streets and getting in the way of commerce and burning down cities and wrecking people's stuff, are all these people literally firsthand affected by all the stuff they supposedly are protesting or whatever? And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, no, they're really not. And do they all suffer? Do they all suffer from perpetual victim mentality? And I really don't think that they do. So naturally, I start to think to myself, I'm trying to analyze what is going on here. Why is it that over the past, several years now, what changed? What has been going on that changed in the minds of people that they started becoming outraged by everything, offended by everything? You know, we've talked on this podcast, or I've talked on this podcast a number of times about the cancel culture and being perpetually offended, and again, the perpetual victim mentality and everything. But you know, you try to figure out why. What is going on with people that now they are gathering in groups? They're gathering in groups with people on the streets of almost every major city, sometimes small cities, in front of courthouses and blocking streets and doing things. And in extreme cases, they're burning down cities and destroying the property of business owners and destroying the livelihoods of people that have worked. What's going on with these people that they gather in these large groups to be mutually offended, be mutually outraged over things that really have no bearing on their lives in many cases? I mean, sometimes they do, but what's going on with them? And I started thinking about it. When I think about it in the scope of Thanksgiving and what's going on, I am very, very grateful for so many things in my life. I talk about it on the podcast all the time. I'm incredibly grateful. I'm blessed in many, many ways. And it took me a long time to see that. I started out being, as a young man, I was outraged about everything. I had a horrible temper. I was pissed off all the time about almost everything. I had a hair trigger temper. And I could never see all the things that I was blessed with. I couldn't see all the things in my life that I had to be grateful for. And it took me a long time to see that. It took a serious paradigm shift on my part to get to a point where I could start to see that there was so much in my life to be grateful for. And then I look at all these people that are marching in the streets over stuff that they, like I said, personally probably doesn't even affect them at all. They, in my mind, and this is my opinion, I think they want to be part of something bigger. I think in some ways their lives are so void of meaning. And anybody who's read Viktor Frankl's book, A Man's Search for Meaning, knows how important it is to have a purpose, to have a meaning. But I think a lot of these people, a lot of these folks they're so void of purpose in their life, they need to grab onto something bigger. I don't know, maybe they're secular, maybe they don't believe in a higher power, maybe maybe their life is just so empty that they latch on to, and I'm not going to pull any punches about it, the mainstream media, the big tech oligarchs in social media, and then the politicians, the sickening politicians that constantly do things and spread hyperbole and hate and talking points that are meant to rile up emotions. They're just meant to drive the outrage. That's how we end up in a state. That's how we are in an age of perpetual outrage, is because look at the headlines. Look at the headlines that we see in social media and in our mainstream media, whether it be your news channels or if anybody still gets newspapers, but most of those things are online periodicals now anyway. But the 24-hour news cycle that we have, all we have is all these people that are trying to outdo each other with these outrageous headlines. Truth be damned, I mean, they don't care if it's the truth or not. They'll go back and they'll publish some little article or some little retraction later. But with the 24-hour news cycle, they're just out to put out the most outrageous headline. How can we get people riled up as quickly as we possibly can? Because it sells soap. Let's face it, outrage sells soap. Grievance sells soap. That's what they're trying to do. That's all they're trying to do. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about the consequences of getting the masses riled up. They don't care that there's a lot of people out there that have what they perceive as meaningless lives. So they're trying to latch on to something bigger, to something that gives them purpose. They don't care about what that does. They're just out to sell soap. So in this age of perpetual outrage, my big question is this. If more people were grateful, if more people gave thanks daily for the blessings in their life, rather than focused on the lies and the outrageous headlines in our media platforms, or the things that we see, the things that we're allowed to see, the things that we're steered to see by the big tech oligarchs and the just the poison hyperboles put out by our politicians. If those people had meaning, if those people felt grateful for the blessings in their life, do you think things would be a little bit different? Because I think things would be a little bit different. I think things would be a lot different. I think things in our world, if each person sat down each day and focused on all the blessings within their life, whether it be a warm house, four walls, I don't care if it's a big house, small house, as long as you're dry, as long as you're warm, as long as you've got a bed to sleep in and food in your belly, there's definitely people out there that have very little to be grateful for. But some of the greatest people in history that had very little were still very grateful for the very little that they had. So my question is, if people focused more on no matter how little or how great the number of things they have to be grateful for, if they focused more on those things to be grateful for and gave thanks every day for those things, do you think there would be so many people in a state of perpetual outrage? Like I said, I don't think everybody that's marching in the streets and throwing a fit over every headline, I don't think they all suffer from the perpetual victim mentality. They are certainly all perpetually offended. And they fall amongst those that are perpetually outraged in that perpetual outrage class. But I don't think honestly, when I think about it, I don't think if they sat down each morning as they open up their eyes and they're rubbing the sleep out of their eyes and thought, God, I'm so grateful for this bed that I woke up in. I'm grateful that I have running water. I'm grateful that I have a toothbrush and toothpaste to brush my teeth. I can wash my face and put on clean clothes today because I am blessed. I am blessed to have the things that I have. I don't think they are. I think they focus too much on the negativity that's out there, the negative headlines, the political hyperbole, the division that's tried, the division that the politicians try to use to keep us all in boxes and keep us separated. I think that's what they do. I don't think they're grateful. This age of perpetual outrage is a real problem. And it's a real problem that we all have to face. Because even people like me, who are incredibly grateful day in and day out for all the blessings in my life. I give thanks every day for the things that I have, the things that I've worked for, the strength that I've had to work for the things that I have. All those things are things that I am incredibly grateful for. But we face a big problem. We face a big problem as a people, as a country, in that we have entities amongst us that have a vested interest in keeping us mad, keeping us outraged, keeping us separated, keeping us divided so that they can have the upper hand all the time. And I think that it's important that we, as a people, come together and quit putting up with it. We have to show them, again, that we are grateful for all the things that we have, and their nonsensical lies and divisive tactics can't take that away from us. We are blessed in this country beyond the blessings of almost anybody in history. What we've got in this country and what we are able to do as individuals in this country to guide the paths on which we live our lives is beyond the blessings that most people in this world, in the history of this world, have ever got to experience. So I just want you to think about that. And then I want you to think each time you open up Facebook or Twitter or whatever dumpster fire platform that you're part of on the internet, and you see those headlines, look first at it to see, is this news or is this opinion? Is this some opinionated commentary by somebody with an agenda, or is this the facts? Because it's quite easy to tell, but a lot of people have lost sight of the difference between facts and nonsense by people with a political agenda or some type of agenda to keep us divided and mad. So ask yourself that, and then ask yourself, does it really make sense to ingest this garbage? Or should I just sit down and focus on the things that I'm thankful for today? Friends, I just want to say again how grateful I am for all the listeners to the D-Rate the Hate podcast. You guys have been an inspiration to me, watching this thing grow, just being able to do what I've done on here and learn what I've learned by doing this podcast, interviewing the guests that I've had, the feedback that I've received from people in emails and instant messages and the support that I've got. It's incredible, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And again, if there's something I said in here that you think will benefit somebody else, please share it. Please jump on whatever audio platform you listen to us and leave some feedback. Social proof does so much to spread the word on these podcasts. And by you leaving feedback, leaving some ratings, and spreading the word helps out so much. Again, it's all about bettering the world one attitude at a time. So maybe by you spreading it, maybe by you sharing it, it gets to that one person that needed it today. And that's what we're trying to do. Again, what have you done today to make your life a better life? It's up to us as individuals, my friends. So get out there, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything that you've got, and remember, it's up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. Have a very blessed Thanksgiving. Show your gratitude. Share your gratitude. And with that, I'm going to back on out of here. Catch you next week.